What's up, y'all? It's your boy Vinnie-Dangerous, and I'm back. Yes, finally back with another episode of Dangerous Minds. I'd like to thank everybody that's been hitting me up, trying to figure out when the show was coming back, if I was doing the Dangerous Minds show again. And yes, we are finally back. Season 3 has officially kicked off, and I figured what's a better way to start off Season 3 the same way we ended off Season 2 with our end of the year list. I couldn't let 2018 go by without giving some of my, in-depth thoughts about some music that came out this year. It's been a lot of great music to come out in 2018. There was so many that it took me forever to put together this top 10 list, just because there was so many albums across multiple genres. Must admit, mainly this list is going to be R&B and hip hop, but that's primarily what I listen to. And these are albums that have stuck with me, some throughout majority of 2018, and then some of them that's going to stick with me, well into 2019 and beyond. So, on my Instagram page, if you don't already follow, please do. It's at Dangerous Minds YouTube, all one word, or you can follow the Dangerous Minds YouTube page on Facebook, the fan page. Hit a like if you haven't already. And I put together honorable mentions. I know these videos go a little bit long because so much music, so many details, so much in-depth analysis I guess I could give you, and personal impact that I could give you for most of these albums. So I'm not gonna mention them here, but you can go on those pages if there might be an album that you were expecting to hear be named and mentioned on this video that was not, but I may have given them a shout out on those pages for my honorable mentions. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this top 10 list. Now, before I get started, I gotta let y'all know that this is not a best of list, but this is my favorite list. So if you don't like the albums that are on here, you think that something should have got mentioned, this is my opinion. You may have something different, and I encourage everybody to drop a comment below for their favorite albums of 2018. So without further ado, again, for real this time, we're gonna go right into the list, starting off with The Hive Mind by The Internet. This album, it was a toss-up between this one and Dirty Computer as far as which album was gonna make the final spot for me. But I was riding with The Hive Mind a lot more, throughout 2018, just because of songs like La Di Da, Hold On, Come Home. There was some really dope tracks. Some of the best work that The Internet has put out ever in their discography is on this album. And I was a big fan of their last album, and I felt like they improved on a lot of stuff here. It's just real groovy, a lot of stuff I could chill back and just listen to. I like the song with Cujo from Goody Mob. That was a nice surprise. That was one of the dopest kind of surprises you listen to. Maybe not even look at the track list. I'm just putting on the album, listening to it, and then that one just came on and kind of threw me off for a second, which in a good way. So I definitely appreciated them for that. Kind of like a nod back to dope Southern hip hop, which I'm always a big fan of, and just some real dope groovy stuff that was really dope nods to the past, as well as doing some futuristic stuff. So I really dig that one. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and go to number 9, Taboo by Denzel Curry. When this album came out around, I think it came out July, I had already pegged it as my favorite hip hop album of the year. You're gonna hear some other albums that came out later in the year that took that crown from him, and then on further review, I had some albums that were reevaluated, and I figured it was a little bit better than this one. But this one's still good. This is the best album I've ever heard from Denzel Curry. Just the energy, the raw commentary, and just the aesthetic of it is exactly what I would want from a Denzel Curry album. And then some like nice little surprises too, like Jid's feature is dope. You got a song with Gold Link, which I really appreciated. You know, especially that Gold Link track, it was something that I'd never heard, you know, Denzel Curry do anything like that before, but it was really like something that I, you know, appreciated. It's kind of like him taking a chance on something different, and it really worked out for him. So I really appreciate that. And it's definitely like one of my go-to albums. There's another album I'm gonna mention in a second that is also on that list, but this is one of my go-to albums when I'm in the gym because the energy from start to finish is just crazy. My favorite song is Perks, just because you're taking drug abuse concept and just turning it into, you know, something that you can really nod your head to and like really like get pumped up and listen to and enjoy for the energy of it. But then he's like putting this message in it, and it's got one of the dopest hooks like of the year for me. So, you know, that's my favorite track on there. You know, the only thing that kind of knocks it is that it's not as, because of the sound, it's not as multi-dimensional as I would probably like it to be. But I mean, it's dope. It's dope regardless. Like, it's a really dope project and one of the best of 2018 in my opinion. Number 8, we're gonna go for Care For Me by Saba. This is one of my early favorite albums. And it's actually like, this album is on this list more for like personal reasons. Cause I think, you know, as an album, there are some like weak points on here. It's a few songs that I completely skip past, which the majority of these songs, majority of these albums on this list don't have a song that I'm, you know, skipping over like that or like passing over. But this, you know, had just some songs that, because of the time it came out, I was, you know, just starting therapy and, you know, kind of dealing with some personal stuff and getting some stuff out on the table with my therapist. And, you know, songs like, you know, Busy/Sirens, Broken Girls, Log Out with Chance the Rapper, Fighter, of course, Prom King, and the closing track is just, all of that is just so amazing, and it really like stuff that I could really identify with, stuff that I can listen to now. Oh, my favorite track, I can't forget that one, is Calligraphy. That one just hit like home, like for me. Like, the whole album is just so, you know, introspective. It's so personal, and it delves into some real just internal turmoil. And I really appreciate the storytelling, especially on songs like Fighters and Calligraphy and Prom King. Like, this storytelling is just second to none. Like, some of the best storytelling, and one of the most underappreciated albums of 2018 in my opinion. There's been a lot of great music to come out, and I hate that I feel like this album kind of gets left off the conversation when it comes to people talking about great music that came out this year. And so I really wanted to give this one the love that I felt like it deserves. But going on to number 7 on the list is Victory Lap by Nipsey Hussle. Another album that is one of my go-to when I'm in the gym, whenever I need to pick me up, because the message behind this is just picking yourself up, always staying motivated, being on top of your business, you know, on top of your game when it comes to you're out here hustling, you know, whether it's, you know, on the street or music or, you know, whatever your career path is. Like, it's definitely one of those albums that whenever you may be doubting yourself, like, he put a lot of material in this to help you stay motivated and to get you motivated. I just, you know, it's one of the albums that have been nominated for Hip Hop Album of the Year. Well deserved. I've always been a big Nipsey Hussle fan, but I felt like he showed some like real growth on this album. Like, I think you know, this is one of those albums that I really can't even pick a favorite song, because I can find myself going to certain songs for certain vibes, because it covers a lot of like different spectrums. Like, the story, or better yet, the subject matter of this album is pretty much the same all the way through, but I just like the aesthetic of it and just the different, you know, vibes and stuff from the production or everything like that. You know, you can go into it getting like different things from different songs and still, you know, leave with the central theme and the central message of staying motivated. And so this is why this is one of my favorite albums of 2018. It's definitely gonna be something I'm gonna be rolling with, you know, 5-10 years from now, really. A lot of Nipsey Hussle's catalog is real, does hold a lot of like replay value, and this album is no different. Probably his best mixtape album, otherwise probably his best work yet. So I'll go to number 6. I had to revise this list when this album came out. I was actually working on this for a couple weeks now, and then this album came out and kind of like threw it off a little bit, so I had to figure out where this one fit, because it definitely had to go on the list. J.I.D's DiCaprio 2. I don't know whether to call it a mixtape or album or what, but it's definitely one of the best cohesive projects of this year. Like, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Denzel Curry project as far as like the energy, you know, but you know, it has a little bit more layers to it, with production, songwriting, just the whole DJ drama aesthetic that they throw in there a little bit here and there, just to kind of give you the vibe of like a mixtape. You know, they don't really use it a lot, so it still feels like maybe it was supposed to be used more, but they converted it into an album that was supposed to be like a Gangsta Girls mixtape or something. But it definitely helps. Like, off these with J. Cole, one of J. Cole's best verses of this year. So Mounted Up, tied with Black and LMA. Hasta Luego. It's a lot. Oh, my favorite song though is Working Out. Working Out is Working Out, yeah. That's my favorite track, just cause this like kind of like the melody, you know, sing-songy thing at the beginning that J.I.D does. The beat itself is just like it's real dope. Like, the pianos is beautiful, and just everything that J.I.D is talking about, you know, getting real introspective is something that I really appreciate. So that's like that's the one like standout track, at least for me personally. But it's a lot of songs you could go to and, you know, take a lot from. Like, the Never Story didn't make my list last year because I didn't listen to it until early this year, which probably would have definitely made my list from last year for my best albums of 2017. But this one, in my personal opinion, outshines the Never Story. So I definitely had to talk about this one. So now we're going into the, sorry, I had to look at my notes for a second. I had to go into the top 5. Speaking of J. Cole, Dreamville, KOD, Kids on Drugs. I forgot the other two meanings of it. King Overdose, and you know what I mean. J. Cole's newest album of 2018, dropped it with like a week of letting people know, and it's still one of the best albums to come out this year. The album was divisive to a lot of people. It's kind of ironic that it falls flat, like right there in the middle. I love the album. I didn't find myself going back to it as much until, unfortunately, after the passing of Mac Miller this year, who also dropped a great album that just didn't make my list. But I mean, it was something that had been, you know, a message. I did feel it was a message that needed to be taught. A lot of the songs, a lot of the concepts, especially like Kevin's Heart, 1985. Shoot, people hated this song, but I love Photograph. Like, that was one of my favorite. Of course, like ATM and Motivate and Window Pane. It was a lot of like really dope songs, like Brackets. Like, the whole album, when you go from top to finish, is not a weak track on there, at least for me personally. But I don't know, it was something about it that just didn't keep me, you know, after the hype kind of wore down, I didn't come back to it as much until after Mac Miller's passing, and it kind of like opened my eyes to what he was talking about and the message behind the album and the message behind the title itself. It made that much more of an impact to me, and I felt like it definitely did need to be in the conversation for my favorite albums. And it's definitely an album that has been in my rotation since September when Mac passed. So, you know, definitely wanted to give J. Cole a shout out for that one. So my number 4 album, like, may surprise some people just because, you know, you hear the songs, the albums that I've been talking about on this list so far, And, you know, for people that know me, my personal preferences, obviously the music I make, people would think that I'm not fucking with this album as much. But you would be wrong, because this is production-wise, and like some songs on there that are really sticking with me long after it's been released, is Astroworld by Travis Scott. First of all, when the album dropped, I'm actually a big Travis fan, but I didn't expect myself to like this album as much as I did, especially because Birds in the Trap, Sing McKnight was cool, but I definitely did see that it wasn't on the same level as like Rodeo and some of his other, like, you know, better like material. I felt like he could have did a lot better, and he definitely came back tenfold with Astroworld. Like the songs, I mean, there's so many to count off, like from Stargazing to you know, Stop Trying to Be God, RP, Screw, Yosemite, NC-17, 5% Tint, Can't Say. Damn, I mean, I would sit here and like just list off the whole track list, and I don't know, it was just like the sound was so big, like the sound was so epic with this album, and the way that it was put together I thought was dope. Even, you know, him leaving off the features, so the first time you listen to it, it just felt like a surprise to your ears. Like then every time you heard somebody, you know, hop on the track, and every feature like complements the album so well that it was a pleasant surprise to hear like everybody that was featured on this album. I mean, I felt like it got kind of weak, you know, with the song like with the Migos. You know, no, Houston Fornication was cool. Butterfly Effect was dope, but in the grander scheme of the album, I felt like it was like one of the weaker tracks on there. And then I think it's like Coffee Bean, I think it's like the track, I think it's like one of the last tracks on there. Those are the ones that kind of like went iffy, but it's so many songs on there and there's so much great material on there, especially when the videos came out. Like Sicko Mode was huge. You know, there's just so much about this album to like, even if you're not into Travis style and you're not really into like the trap thing in general. Like, I feel like there's a lot of things from a creative standpoint, from a production standpoint, that you could really take away from this album that makes it great. And I definitely had to talk about this on my list. All right, so continuing the list, we're gonna go on to number 3 on the list, which is Oxnard by Anderson .Paak. Now, admittedly, at first when I listened to this album, because of how much I love Malibu topped my list of my favorite albums of 2016. I love his projects with Knowledge that he was putting out, like the songs like Bubbling that was teasing the release of this project. Just had my expectations super high, and it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be when I first listened to it, but the more I listen to it, the more I kind of like take that pre-expectations that I had for the album, put that to the side and just listen to for what it is. It's a damn good project. I mean, songs like Trippy with J. Cole, you got My Brother's Keeper, which is phenomenal with Pusha T. You got songs like Six Summers. You got Tense with Kendrick Lamar. You got Sweet Chick with DJ the Chicago Kid. The track with Q-Tip is one of my personal favorites. Like, you know, it's really production-wise, he's on a whole nother level. Songwriting is just on a whole nother level. Him and Dr. Dre coming together on this project. It took what he already had and just polished it up and enhanced it and just made everything sound so crisp and almost flawless. You know, I think like the first track, The Chase, is cool for like a introductory track, but by itself I wasn't really feeling it. But once I got past that, like, it was really hard for me to find anything to complain about this album. Definitely one of my favorites. It's really hard to really describe, you know, how much I love it. It's more so about, you know, y'all need to go check it out and listen to this, because this cannot be appreciated enough than what it already is. And I'm kind of done talking about that one, because I can talk about it forever. But we're gonna go on the album number 2 on the list, an album that I wasn't even looking forward to. I had no idea it was coming out. Apparently it was a lot of, I heard the songs teasing to the release of this album, but I wasn't as excited for it as like maybe other albums like Astroworld and Anderson .Paak's album, which I felt like I've been waiting for a year or 2 years since the release of Malibu. And this one completely caught me off guard, but I listened to it to just check it out, and even though I'm a fan of them, I just listened to it to check it out, and it definitely just blew any expectation that I had for it out the window. And I'm talking about Smino's Noir album. This album had everything that I liked about Anderson .Paak's album, but it was in its own lane altogether. Like, it's really hard for me to even compare Smino to any other artist. Like, he's just so experimental with his flows and the production and the songwriting. Like, even the song structures are different on certain tracks. Like, I've something that I haven't heard anybody do before. Songs like Clink stand out to me. Somersault, Motherfucking Groove, Paisano, Fenty Sex, like with Drizzy. Like, everything about this album, there's not a bad song on this album that I wouldn't go back to, or even a song that I would skip if, like, when I played through it. There's certain songs I listen to more than others, but as an entire project from start to finish, in the year 2018 alone, it's really hard to find any project that has that level of consistency. Like, there's some people that may not be in the Smino style. There may be people that are not into his vibe and his aesthetic, but if you are, and you really liked his last album, Black Swan, he leveled up on this one tenfold. Like, I cannot express enough how great this album is. It's definitely something I've been going back to. Certain songs I've been going back to on a daily basis, and that's how good this album is to me. You know, this is my list, so fuck it. But I suggest you listen to it if you're into Smino's work that you've heard in the past, or if you into any of his contemporaries, people he's collaborated with. Listen to this album, especially if you were a fan of Black Swan. I promise you, you will take away at least 4 or 5 tracks that you will fall in love with. And that's only my number 2. Now, Smino, Anderson .Paak, I really was expecting those albums to be my number 1 when they first dropped. But it was really hard for me to put any album on top of Drogas Wave by Lupe Fiasco. This is probably Lupe Fiasco's magnum opus. This is his career-defining album. Even more than Food and Liquor, even more than The Cool. This is probably his best project ever. Like, it's so multifaceted. It's just really hard for me to explain. Songs like, like Cripple, the Wave song, King Nas, which is phenomenal. Like, you may not be into the production of it. It just kind of puts me in the mindset of Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly, and how it's not sonically what you would expect, but it is fantastic, top to bottom. People may not like the length of it, but the level of detail that's put on this album, the story behind this album, every song feels like exactly what you would want from a Lupe album. To the point where I don't even feel like you can ask him for any more, because he gave you everything on this album. Like, from an artistic standpoint, it's great. Lyrically, Lupe is at his best, probably the best he's been for years, probably in the last decade. I can't stress it enough. This is the best album of 2018. My personal favorite of 2018. And I would like to see what y'all think. I probably didn't give you a lot of detail on that last one, but it's hard to really put into words how much I appreciate that album. And if you haven't listened to it, when you have the time, because it is a long album, when you have the time, listen to it, take it in, listen to it multiple times, take it in, digest the message, and I promise you, you won't be disappointed. But I want to hear what y'all think. Leave in the comment section below what you felt was the best albums, your favorite albums of 2018. Because of bias, I couldn't put my own album, but Dream to Escape Hell is out now. My second LP that we put on streaming services, is available on every streaming site, every place you can buy music online. Also on the website www.Vinnie-Dangerous.com. Go listen to it, go check that out, and you know, with your unbiased opinion, I want to hear what you think, how my album ranks among the albums that I just put on this list. So thank you for tuning in to Dangerous Minds. We'll be back moving forward with season 3. Got some big surprises coming for you. But until then, peace, love, I'm out.